Alright, so let's finish off the rest of the things that we have, and let's start with the bookmarks page. So we need to navigate the user to the bookmarks path when the user clicks on the icon button that we have over here. And on this screen, we are going to list out all the different bookmarks that the user has made. So for that thing, let's first work on the navigation. So for this, we need to navigate when the user within the home page, the home component, when the user clicks on the icon button that we have over here, which has the bookmark icon. So let's import the link component from the React Router DOM package, and right over here we can wrap the icon button within the link component in such a way, and on the link, now the link component from the React Router DOM, it's just a component which allows you to push to a different path or navigate to a different path that you specify as the value to the to prop that we pass to the link component. So we need to navigate to the bookmarks path, as that's what we have in the app component as a route, as you can see right over here. So let's do that, and if we save it and if we click on the icon button, we will be pushed to the bookmarks. So that's perfect. Now instead of wrapping the icon button within the icon button within the link component, there's another way in which we can do it. So if I just inspect the icon button at right now, we will see that this button element is now wrapped within the anchor element. The anchor element, which is what the link component uses under the hood. Now this anchor element is responsible for the user, responsible to navigate or to push the user to the respective path. And the icon button in itself, it uses the button HTML element. As you can see that it has the classes MUI icon button -root. So it means that this is actually the icon button that we are using over here, and this should be having the SVG icon, and we can cross check, and that's what it is, as you can see. So the thing is, instead of wrapping the button, or to say the icon button within the link component, we can merge these two, and we can do that. Let's first remove the link, and on the icon button we can pass, well, not only on this one, we can actually do this thing on any core component of material UI. Let's pass in the component prop, and we can set any component which we want to use as the root element. So we can set it to be of link as such, and what it's going to do is it's going to use this thing as the root element. And by doing this, we can even use the same props that this component takes, as it's going to, this component will be forwarding those props to the root component. So we can do the same thing. We can pass in the to prop, and we can set it to be the same path that we had earlier. And if we do it in such a way, and if we test it out, we are going to see that now the button component, instead of that, the button element, we have the anchor element which has all the same classes, as it kind of merges these two. But the one that you set as the value for the component prop, it will be used as the root element. Perfecto. So now if we click on this thing, we will be pushed on the same path. Great. So now we just need to work on the bookmarks component, the screen, and we need to make it look as such. So let's first work on the upper part that we have over here. Oops, the icon button as well as the text sitting right next to it. And for this, within the bookmarks component, we first need to import a few components from the MUI library. Let's do that. And we need stack in order to align them in the same axis, as it's going to wrap these two. We need the icon button for the back icon, the typography, and the box component. Well, that's it for now. So now let's construct the page. So let's first wrap the entire page inside of fragments, and then we can place in the stack component within which we need to place in the icon button, within which we need to place the back icon. So let's import that from the icons package of material UI that we have installed. So the name of the icon is arrow back, and we're going to rename it as back icon. So let's place it within the icon button that we have over here, and right next to it we can place in the typography with the text of bookmarks. Now on the typography we can change the variant to be of H5, and on the stack component we need to change the direction because the default one is column, which will align these two like these two. The icon button and the typography are going to sit on top of each other if we just leave it the way that it is. As you will see right over here, we have the icon and we have the text. So in order to fix this thing, let's change the direction to be of row, and at the same time let's set the align items to be of center in order to align these two in the center in cross axis. Let's do that, and that's perfect. Now on the icon button let's pass in the SX prop in order to style it, and we just need to change the color of the icon to be of black, and let's add some margin to the right of about 1, which would be 8 pixels, and let's see. So that is perfect. Now I think the size of the icon is way too big. Like, it's not that big, but I'm a sucker for perfection, and let's make it look as such. And I believe maybe I'm using H6. Let me just cross check. It's taking too much time. Okay, so I think it's H6. We just need to increase the font weight. Let's do that right over here. Let's do the same thing for the H6 variant, and that's looking perfect. So now we just need to work on displaying the bookmarks as such, and for this thing we need to have the bookmarks that we have in the app component. So for that, let's get to the app, and over here, just like the definition path that we have over here, the component, we are passing these 3 props. For the bookmarks screen, we just need the first one, which is we just need the bookmarks. So let's pass it over here, and now within the bookmarks we can destructure the prop bookmarks, and we can use it, we can map over it in order to show the bookmarks as such. But the thing is, this bookmarks, it's an object, as you already know, as that's how we have structured it. So we just need to get the keys of it, which would be the actual word that the user has bookmarked. So for that thing, right below the stack component, let's wrap it inside of an expression. Let's use the same thing that we did in the definition screen. So let's use the object.keys, and let's pass in the bookmarks, which will return back an array containing all the keys, and we can map over them. Let's call each bookmark as B, like let's refer it as such, and we just need to return back a box component within which we have the bookmark. And on the box component, let's pass in the SX prop in order to style it. And for the styling I already have, so you can just pause the video and enter the same thing. So we need to set some padding of about 2 on all the sides, cursor to be of pointer in order to have the pointer, background color of white, border radius of 1, text transform of capitalize, and margin bottom of 2. So that's looking perfect. And let's first add some spacing between these two, the stack and the bookmarks. And for that, on the stack component, let's pass in the SX prop, and let's set some margin to the bottom of about 2. If we do that, well, that should look perfect. Alright, and well, let's also set the font weight to be of 800, just so that we have the text in bold. Perfect. Alright, so it is looking exactly as what we have in the final version, and now we just need to push the user to the respective path when they click on any of these. So for that, we can use the same thing that we did on the home page of importing the link component from the React router DOM, using it as the root element, using the component prop and passing in the 2 for the path. So let's do that. We first need to import the link component from the React router DOM package, and let's use it as the root element on the box component. And by the way, we also need to set the key for which we can use the bookmark. So let's pass in the component prop and let's set it to be of link. And for the path, let's use the 2 and the value of it, as it's going to be a dynamic, kind of like a dynamic path. Let's use the curly braces within which we can use the backticks. So we need to push the user to the path that we have constructed as such within the app component, like this /search/ and the word. So let's do that over here, search, and for the word, using the template literal, we can place the B as such. So if we do that, maybe we will see some issues with the styling. And yep, so the thing is, as the link component is like the root element is anchor, and anchor by default has a display of inline. So that's the reason why it's kind of conflicting with the stylings for the box, which is a div element and a display of block by default. So we just need to explicitly set it over here. So among all the different stylings that we have added, let's add the display to be of block, the color of the text to be of black, and the text decoration to be of none. And if we do that thing, this should look the way that it used to. So that is perfect. And now if we click on any of these bookmark, we should be pushed to the respective path. So that is great. Now before we further proceed, there's something which we need to fix. But before we do that, let's actually do the same thing for the back icon. And what did I do with the definitions? Like in the definitions screen, I think, yep. So within the definition screen, we used history.goback, and we can do the same thing, or we can just use what we did, like the same thing that we did over here. Let's actually do this thing. So on the icon button, let's pass in the component prop with the value of link component, and let's set the 2 to be of root as such. And if we do that, and if I click on the back icon, we should be pushed to the home page. So now let's fix the issue that I was talking about earlier, which is, suppose if the user searches, like among all the bookmarks we have the beautiful, if the user searches for the same word but with a different case sensitivity, it's not going to, it's going to consider this thing as a different word. So we should be fixing this thing. So the way that we can do it is, well, actually let's get to the definition, and the way that we can fix it, we are using the bookmarks. Actually the reason is the path. As you can see, the path that the user is on. So for this thing, let's actually do one thing. Within the home page, like there are different ways in which we can fix it. I thought this thing should work. Like, why isn't the lowercase working? Like, we are checking all the different things, obviously because we are not using the trimmed word. So like it should work. If we take a look, like even if we search for something like this, yep, it has been fixed. Like earlier I was thinking to kind of do the fix to fix the things right over here, but turns out it was simpler than I was expecting. Anyway, the last thing that we need to do is when the user opens up a word which is already bookmarked. So as you will see that when I click on this thing, even though we bookmarked the word and we do have the content, we do have the definition within the local storage, as you already know, as that's how we have structured it. Like within the local storage, we should be seeing the home right over here, and we do have the definition. However, we are not using it, and it kind of defeats the purpose of it. So in order to use the definition from the local storage, what we can do is right over here within the use effect, right over here where we call this function which makes the request, we can check that if this thing is bookmarked. If it is already bookmarked, there is no point of calling this function, and we can just return right away. Or we can just do it like the opposite. Like if it's not bookmarked, only then we want to call the function and we want to make the request. So if we just save it at the moment, we will see that the loader will keep going on, because the length of it is going to remain an empty array, like it's going to remain 0. So we should be seeing the loader right over here without the content being displayed. So now we just need to get the actual thing, and on that data we need to update it to the definition state, as well as we need to work on the audio part. Like we need to do all this thing that we have. So what we can do is we can create another function where we can shift all these things that we have, and we can use the same thing when we make a request to the API, as well as when we get the same thing from the local storage. So let's actually shift the entire thing and let's create a function. Let's name it as update state, and it needs to get the data as such. So we just need to do the same thing, and now over here we can call the update state and let's pass in the response.data. So this thing like right now it's the exact same as what we had earlier. We just need to change the response.data to be of just data, which is being passed down as an argument. So if we just save it, we are going to see the loader. However, what we will be doing is in the else statement, we can call the update state. We can call it as we have the bookmarks, this state, the entire thing being passed down from the app component, the app component which sits on top, and on this main object we have all the different words. So let's get the value of the word that the user is trying to get the definition of. So for that thing, as we know that it's now, this is exactly what we have in the local storage, which is an object with the keys being the words and the values being the definitions. So we can just get the definition for the word by passing it in such a way. If we do that, now instead of making the call to the API, we should be getting the thing from the local storage. As you will see, if I click on this bookmark, we should be seeing the content right away. So that is perfect. So by doing this, we kind of avoid making redundant calls to the API and saving up some network bandwidth. Alright, so that is it, and let me actually check the audio thing.
Beautiful.
That's what it is. Alrighty, so I think the only thing left is the responsiveness. Let's actually do it right now. So within the app component, where we have the grid container and the grid item, a single one which is wrapping all the routes, we are setting the access breakpoint, the smallest breakpoint, to take 12 columns. Instead of this, you can just pause the video and enter the same thing. We need to set the access to be of 12 columns, the small to be of 8 columns, the medium to be of 5, and the large to be of 3. And let's actually shift the padding thing, this that we have over here, to the container. So if we do that, and well, actually we need to do one last thing. On the grid container that we have over here, let's set the justify content in order to align it in the main axis to be of center in such a way. Let's see. So that is perfect. And I think for the large devices, we can add a bit of margin to the top, because on the smaller ones, it looks perfectly fine. However, on the larger one, we can add some spacing. So for that thing, on the grid container within the same SX, let's add some margin to the top. And instead of setting the value right away, we will be using the curly braces, as we need to provide the value on the basis of breakpoint. So on the XS, we can keep it 0. However, on all the breakpoints above that, for which we are going to use the SM, we can use about 2, like we can set it to be of 16. So now if we take a look, there we have some margin, and on the smaller one, this thing should be removed, as you can see. So that is perfect. Alright, so I think this completes the entire thing, and it seems perfect. We have everything in place. And let's actually do one last thing, which is that in case there are no bookmarks, we can just show some sort of message which says the same thing, which is kind of easy. Let's do it right over here. So let's actually use the same thing over here. If the object dot keys passing in the bookmarks, if the length of it, let's coerce the value by adding in double exclamatory mark, as it coerces the value. So if the length is 0, then this thing is going to return false. However, if that's not the case, that's when we know that there are some bookmarks, and that's when we need to do this thing. In the other case, we can show a typography which says that no bookmarks, something like this. Let's actually see how it is at the moment. So that is fine. Let's set the align to be off center. Maybe that'll work. I'm kind of sucker for perfection, as you already must have guessed. You can do the alignment. Like, you can add some margin to the top, or let me just do it right now. Margin top of about 5. Let's see. Perfecto. Alright, so if we have a bookmark, we should be seeing that. Great. Alright, so this completes the entire application. I hope you enjoyed. My voice is cracking so much. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. So just make sure to subscribe the channel, to share this among your peers, your friends, whoever may find it useful, and see you next time. Peace.